Hey guys, it's Kaylee and I have a new camera. I'm so excited. I just bought the Canon 600D, so very exciting. And yeah, it has the flippy outy screen so I can see myself while I film. Well, actually I can't because I'm not wearing my glasses, because I can see that there's a screen and there's a face in the screen, but quite honestly I cannot even see that it's my face. That's how bad my eyes are. Anyway, I'm not actually here to talk about my camera or my eyes. I just tend to go off at tangents a lot, I've noticed. I am, however, here to be talking about The Retribution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hudkins. This is the final book in the Mara Dyer trilogy, and just wow. It was absolutely amazing. I was a little bit scared to read it, to be honest, because I think the last books of trilogies have a tendency to disappoint us a little bit. Divergent, The Hunger Games. Sorry, I just had something in my throat. Yeah, and everyone tends to die. So I was just like, this is exactly the kind of book where like everyone's gonna die and it's gonna be really depressing, and I'm gonna have loved the first two books and then the last book is just gonna make me hate the whole thing. And then it wasn't. It was spectacularly written, and the characters were like really well rounded, really like well thought out. The character development was amazing, but I'll speak about that a little bit later. There were funny moments, there was romance, there's a lot of suspense. There were times when things happened that were just too terrible to like even think about. Yeah, it was just really amazing. So pleased with it. The book is about Mara and some of the people from Horizons who are with her in Horizons, trying to escape from it and sort of figure out what is actually up with them. Like, are they mad? Is it a sickness? Is it a genetic thing? And then also at some point, you know, they're trying to find the cure for it, and Mara's aim obviously is just finding Noah. Like, she's consumed by it, she can't think of anything else. Which I mean is kind of understandable considering it's Noah's short like word. Anyway, I kind of like him a lot. You know, you might have noticed. Yeah. So on to actually speaking about things. Like I said, the writing was amazing. It really captured that same like sort of surreal feeling from the first two books where you're like, can this be happening? Can this not be happening? Like, are these people just crazy, or is there actually something wrong with them? Where you know, you're never really sure what's going on. But if that was something that bugged you about the first two books because you had a lot of questions and stuff, those questions will probably get answered in this book. Like, I know from the first two books I was confused about a lot of things, especially with like regards to Mara's flashbacks and stuff. I was just like, I don't even know what's going on. But yeah, this book really wraps up all of those loose ends quite nicely. Yeah, just really good in that regard. And that was also, those flashbacks and like dreams that Mara has also added a really interesting dimension to this book, because there are a lot of them in this book, and that storyline actually becomes really important in terms of Mara's storyline and Noah's storyline and the way their storylines intertwine, and it's just, yeah, it's really, that I found really interesting. But I don't want to give too much away about that because it's like basically the crux of the series, the point of the series hangs in that backstory, so obviously I don't want to talk about that too much. But yeah, that was just phenomenal, I thought. There are 3 different points of view throughout this book: Mara's, Noah's, and the point of view of the person in the dreams and like flashbacks. And I don't remember if in the first two books we found out who that was, so I don't want to tell you who it was, just in case we didn't, because that's a really big, like, important part. It's been a really long time since I read the first two books, so yeah, I can't tell if I figured out who this person was before I was told, or if I just knew because of the first two books. I don't know. I really need to reread them because they're so good, but yeah. And I find that books written from multiple points of view can be a little bit, and they're probably quite challenging to write, because you have to make sure that each character has their own really distinctive voice. And I feel like Michelle Hooken dealt with that really well. Like, I was never confused as to whose point of view I was reading, even when there's a scene where it flips between Mara and Noah's point of view like every few lines, and even during that I was never confused about whose point of view I was reading, because they both had such distinctive, such different ways of describing what was happening that I was never confused, and that I was really impressed by. So I think she did a really good job on that. And yeah, I do have one complaint though, and that is that I had to put up with 300 pages of Stella being a whiny little brat, and I got like 100 pages of Noah Shaw being perfect. I mean, it was, at least it was 100 pages, you know? It was, and that was amazing, but like, could he not have been in the book a little bit more? Just sad. Anyway, but yeah, the part that he was in the book completely made up for when he wasn't in the book, so I suppose I can't really complain because it was just that amazing. Yeah, and I loved the ending. Obviously I'm not going to tell you what happens. I really enjoyed the ending. I'm really happy with how the series wrapped up. I feel like this book just did a really good job of ending things off, and I, as a reader, didn't feel like disgruntled by anything. I didn't feel like there was anything left that I wasn't sure of, which I think sometimes you finish a series and you're just like, but what happened? And I didn't have that with this book. It gave you enough that you still needed to think about stuff. I mean, it gave you too little that you still needed to think about stuff, but it gave you enough to really satisfy you, so that, you know, you needed to think but you kind of knew what was going to happen, which, yeah, was really good. I have one more complaint actually, and that's that at the beginning, it didn't move slowly, there was lots of action, and it absolutely gripped me and I couldn't put it down. I had read 27 pages last week and I finished the book today in one sitting. Like, from page 27 onwards I just read until, I don't know, wherever it ends, page 400 and something. So I mean, I really couldn't put it down, but I just found that near the end things picked up too quickly. As it was heading for the climax, I just felt like things were kind of happening too perfectly. Like, things were almost too easy. Not at the climax. The climax was a very difficult scene. Emotionally it was... Oh, someone's texting me. Yeah, emotionally it was... Oh, I could feel pain. But yeah, I felt like towards the end things started happening a little bit too quickly. But the very, very end was... I felt like then things kind of slowed down enough for you to come to grips with what had happened, and, like, as a reader to, you know, be okay with it. And yeah, something else that I was really impressed by was the character development. It's one of the reasons I love series so much, because you get to spend so much time with the characters and getting to know the characters. And in this series, Mara develops phenomenally. I mean, Mara is one of the few female protagonists that I actually really like. I very rarely like books written from females' point of view, because, I don't know, I just find them annoying. Like Bella. When they introduced Jacob's point of view in Breaking Dawn, I was just like, sweet relief. Yeah, I prefer things written from guys' point of view. I prefer being in guys' minds. Maybe because I am a girl, so being inside a girl's mind doesn't really interest me, because I know what's going on in there already. So yeah, I prefer reading from guys' points of view, but I really like Mara, and I really enjoyed seeing things from her perspective. And yeah, just the way she's evolved from, which I guess is kind of the point of the series, but yeah, the way she's evolved from the first book, where she was this scared little girl who was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and then she did these things and she couldn't believe that she'd done them because she didn't really understand what was going on with her. And then when she did start to understand, and she was like, oh, like, I'm a killer, this is really bad. And then sort of learning to embrace that, but then also struggling with it because other people can't really deal with it, and then to getting where she is in this book, where she becomes really strong, and she's like, this is who I am, and she really embraces that murderous side of her for a while, which is a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie, but she also then realizes that like she is able to control these powers and she can use them to do things and to help people and not just kill people. And that part at the end, I'm not going to tell you like how it comes about and what sort of happens, because there's a lot more to it than her just realizing that she can use her powers for good. That revelation for her was just so interesting and so emotional. Yeah, I just thought that Michelle Hodkins just did an incredible job. Is it Hodkins or Hodkin? Hodkin. I keep on calling her Hodkins and that's not her name, I'm sorry. But yeah, I just thought that was really done very well. The other characters obviously developed as well. Noah develops a lot. Noah really starts to change from this bratty teenager who, you know, blames his parents for not caring about him, to this really strong, independent young man who feels really in control of his life and feels like strong enough to make his own choices. And he's just like, I get that I have this ability and I get that Mara's gonna love me to ruins, but you know what, I'm in love with her and I choose her and I get to choose to spend my life with her. Like, this is the life that I want to have, so that's the life I'm going to create for myself. Which I think not only as character development was really great to read, but it's also just a really important message, like, you are in control of your own life, you know, just do what you want to do with it. I think that's all for the spoiler-free stuff. So if you haven't read the book, I would recommend just switching the video off now, because there are a couple of things that I want to just mention my thoughts on that are pretty big things in the book. So yeah, if you don't want to hear about those, then I'm just going to say goodbye, and I really hope you enjoyed this. And if you have read the book, then please feel free to carry on watching, because I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions on some of the things that I'm going to say. Starting off with Jude. Like, at the beginning of the book, I was like, oh yay, he's becoming a good guy. Like, he's realised that he did something wrong, and he was evil for 2 books, and that was terrible, but, you know, he's redeeming himself, and I love redemption stories, so I just thought that was great. And then, no. Just no. I was like, yeah, good guy. Oh, bad guy. Okay. So that was quite disappointing for me, because I was really happy that he'd like changed, and then he didn't. Maybe it was naive of me to think that he had changed. I don't know. Then the sex scene between Mara and Noah at the end was just incredible. Like, I thought it was one of my favourite parts of the book, because it was just so beautifully written, and I loved the way that she used their points of view for that, where, you know, Mara would have a few lines and then Noah would have a few lines, and just thought it was so beautiful, and everything was just described so beautifully. Not like what they were doing, I mean, it's not like porn, but I love that the focus is on their feelings and their thoughts, and you can really, in that scene, just see that they have so much love for each other, and it comes out so beautifully. It was really incredible to read that. Like, it was honestly, I think, the best written sex scene I have ever read. Ever. And it was just phenomenal. And I loved the way also that Mara described it, and the way she was using all those colours, because she, you know, she is an artist, that's how she sees the world. She sees the world in terms of the shades of colours that it's in, and the way that those colours can have effects on people. So I thought it was really beautiful that that was brought in to describe this really important moment in her life. And I love Daniel. I did. Daniel was a really great inclusion to the story for me, because I thought he provided a lot of relief at some points, which I liked, especially like, okay, well, near the end, you know, there isn't really a need for relief, everything's been wrapped up, but I really liked the way that he introduced things. Then I loved that we got to hear the backstory of Mara's grandmother, and particularly how that ties in with Mara and Noah's story. Like, we were told that she'd led him to ruins, and we just assumed that it was because she has this power to kill things, but realising that they were actually born so that Noah could kill Mara and, like, stop this from continuing in the world and make the world a better place, and then him being just like, nah, I'm kind of in love with her, so I'm just gonna stick with it, thanks. I just, yeah, but I loved that backstory and hearing about his mother as well, and it was so interesting for me. And the scene in the tunnel between Noah and his father broke my heart. Like, there've been a lot of sad things throughout the series, but that was just the worst thing for me. Like, as much as Noah acted out and was just like, I don't care what anyone thinks of me, at the end of the day, I think every young boy wants to kind of prove himself to his father, and realising that his father never, like, honestly never cared about him at all. Like, he'd always said that his father didn't care about him, but realising that to him, that's his father, he was really just a pawn that could bring about some peace. And, like, it hurt me because it hurt him so much, and because it was just so terrible. I think even if that had been a character that I hated, even if that had been Jude, like, I would have felt awful in that scene just because it was so terrible. I know that this book has got a lot of bad reviews, and some people have even said that they're not going to read it, they'd rather just keep, like, good memories of the series. I would honestly recommend that you don't. I felt like this book was really important because it tied up a lot of things that happened in the previous books, and it also just, I loved the ending. I thought that it was such a great ending to the series. Like, this is what I wanted from the beginning, and it happened, you know? So I think don't be afraid to read this book. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Just ignore all the bad reviews, only listen to my review, because, you know, you've known me for so long, you can totally trust my opinion on books. Yeah. But seriously, read it, it's so good. Yeah, it's really good. And yeah, I really like this, there's a happy ending, because it's so rare, I feel like, nowadays. I feel like everyone stopped trying to have the cliche, so now they just have sad endings, but now sad endings have become a cliche. So I was really happy to see a happy ending for once, especially because Madness is probably, like, one of my biggest OTVs. I love them so much. So yeah, that was really great for me to see. I think that's all. Actually, I think that's all I wanted to discuss. But if you've read the book and you have any thoughts on what I've said, or you agree with me or you disagree with me, then please leave your thoughts in the comments. I really love to hear other people's opinions on this, and I'd love to talk to people about this book because I don't know anyone that's read it. I know, I think 3 people that have read the first book, but they haven't read the second or now the third, so I really just want to talk to someone about it, and, like, can't, and it's killing me. So please, I'm actually begging here, please put thoughts in the comments. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye!